And welcome everyone to Enchanted Empath Soulcast. Happy Thursday. So this week, I want to talk about intuition. It's a thing that I focus on the very most in my practice and how to develop it, how to trust it. And today I want to talk about how synchronicity works with your intuition. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable. Feel free to chime in and ask questions as we go along. Today is going to be a fun one. And I'm going to give you some tools and resources so that you can utilize your intuition more so and play with the synchronicities of the universe. So first of all, we need to define what is intuition, right? So intuition is, according to the dictionary, a direct perception or knowing of a thing independent of a reasoning process. So it's those know things, you feel them, you intuit them, and there's no real explanation how you received that information or how you came up with that because you weren't thinking about it necessarily, right? And so part of the reason I'm obsessed with intuition and psychic development is because it is our primary communication. It is the most reliable. It is the most truthful. It is chock full of information for us. So in all of our experiences, we can all relate to this. You know, mouths move and words can be untrue, but energy never lies. So when we learn how to use our intuition to read the energy of other people, even places and things, it makes life so much more graceful and it keeps us safe. So I think it's a survival mechanism from way back that is in everybody's genetic makeup. So welcome everybody. I keep getting messages on my Instagram that we keep getting disconnected, but I'll have the replay after this, so hang tight. All right, so intuition is your most amazing internal guidance, and it's internal, right? And the intuition, some people call it the sixth sense. Well, I do know for sure that the intuition plays really well with the other five senses. In fact, how you receive your sixth sense information or your intuitive information is through your five senses. So they work in unison. And so some people pick up that more subtle intuitive information, the energetic information, through vision or through hearing or through even speaking or writing. And some people sense that intuitive information through feeling. And so you can see that the senses are all playing together nicely. And so one is not better than the other. You know, the sixth sense, just because it's the sixth doesn't mean it's the highest. It picks up that more subtle energy, right? That the five senses, we need the five senses to bring it in so that we can interpret it through our human system. It's just the way it is. So in my practice and in just living, I have noticed that there are different levels of intuitiveness. And I got real curious about that. It's like, how come some people, the empaths especially, are more sensitive to energy and information than other people? What's the deal? What's going on there? And as I was pondering that question, an amazing synchronicity happened, right? And so synchronicities and signs happen all the time in my reality. And I was scrolling through Hulu looking for something to watch a couple nights ago. And I see this one episode on Fantasy Island called Quantum Entanglement. I didn't watch the episode, but I got curious. It's like quantum entanglement. That sounds really scientific. What's that? And a lot of you know that I do love quantum physics at the really geeky, basic dummy level. And so I looked it up and I thought, well, that's basically the definition or the reason behind how synchronicities work. So quantum entanglement says that we're all one. Now, a lot of you, like me, have a spiritual conviction where we already have accepted that. We already know that. We know that we're swimming in this quantum soup, so to speak, and that we're all connected energetically. There is no separation except our attention to it and maybe proximity and focus. And so we can turn it up or we can turn it down. We can connect, we can disconnect, or bring our connection in closer. But that's how being psychic or a medium or a medical intuitive or any of those things that seem a little woo, in my reality, they're not woo at all. It's just a matter of being sensitive enough or having a higher vibration or an open energy to where we can receive or connect with that energy better than others or more easily than others. And it's because we're interested in doing that. You know, some of us are interested. Some of us come into our gifts later and we're like, what the heck is going on? You know, and I do get clients who come to me with that. It's like all of a sudden I can sense these sensations with different people. What is this? And it is that whole quantum entanglement. It's the fact that we're all swimming in the same cosmic soup and that energy is flowing and permeable and very accessible. And so in my work, you know, I can sense a lot of energy, but most of the time I'm minding my own business and not trying to. And then other times it's too much to ignore. And then sometimes I make a very deliberate decision to connect. So I have a target and then I go get it. I go look for it. So there's all kinds of different levels of doing this. And I want to talk about the different levels within people. So I have definitely noticed, and in thinking about or just contemplating or channeling or however the information comes, I noticed and I saw in my mind's eye the different auras that we all have. And that aura is your personal energy field. And so, of course, you're a living being. We are all electromagnetic living beings, and we are all emitting energy all the time, even when we sleep. And so that's the stuff that we're all in, we're all in this together, basically. And there are some people whose auras are lighter, thinner, more transparent, and permeable. So imagine steam, or imagine heat waves coming off of a blacktop, right? You can actually see the waves. And so you know that there's something there. There's an energy that you can visibly see with your naked eye. So if you can see that with your naked eye, imagine the things that you can't see, right? And that's the world that I live in. I know there's a lot more going on than we can tangibly see with our naked eye. So if we're talking about a person who has a lighter energy, and let's pretend there's a scale here. So there's a person here with very, very light, permeable, airy energy. Think of the air signs, right? The Geminis, the Aquarius. They seem to, all this kind of seems to fit together if you really stop and think about it. And the air signs are just more flexible and adaptable and open and receptive and flowy, right? So they're just going to be more apt to sense or to pick up the energy around them or a person passing them, or energy that they're just thinking about. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, if you imagine a person with a very dense aura, very heavy, very compact, they're going to be like bulldozing through and I imagine like a person walking through a store where they're oblivious to the energy or, you know, the energy of anybody around them, because they're basically just so dense and so thick, so that they are really in their own world, in their own aura. And there's no judgment here. There's just observation. And so then if you imagine the spectrum of very dense aura, a person who's just pretty blocked off and closed off, and then at the opposite end, somebody who's wide open, then you can imagine, where are you on that spectrum? Somewhere in the middle, you know? And then clearly, just by life circumstances, that spectrum moves. So things happen that cause us to be more dense in our energy, in our auric field, and then things happen that can lighten us up. But in my experience, it takes more intention and practice to stay on the light side, right? And then some of us are just blessed with a really light kind of personality. I call it a blessing. Some people probably don't. But having that more childlike perspective on life, where we don't take things very seriously, we certainly don't take ourselves very seriously, and we know that everything changes, and so we're just very adaptable. And then on the other end of that is a rigidity, right? So just where are you, and know that that moves, and that we can move it intentionally with practice, with a thought, with a decision, right? So this is where, going back to the whole quantum entanglement, when we know that we're in this cosmic or quantum soup and everybody is emanating energy and everybody has auras, then it's very easy and logical for me. I can reason intuition in a heartbeat. It's like, it's clear. There's energy everywhere, and we can receive it, we can notice it, we can observe it, feel it, sense it, or not. And sometimes it's a choice. And for me, I do make choices not to. Like I have a mantra of mine, because I am very open. My mantra is mind your own business. Mind your own business. Stay in your lane. So I have to remind myself, it's not my business. Stay in your lane. Unless I'm doing a reading or I'm doing something professional, or I feel like there's maybe something that needs my attention or some blessings on it, then I'll pay more attention. But for the most part, we're all thinking about our workout in the afternoon, or what we're going to make for dinner, or when we're driving our car. Who knows? But there's a lot of mental competition, and so we choose wisely, to either pick up on energy or not. And so an untrained empath, though, who doesn't know this, they're kind of susceptible to all kinds of energy and information coming at them all the time. And so part of my practice is to help people with that, so that we don't have to be at the mercy of the energies that are around us, right? So back to, if you want to remember quantum entanglement, just think of we're all one. It's all one. The Unity Church talks about that. The Science of Mind Church talks about that. A lot of religions do. And quantum physics definitely talks about that. So that kind of explains the woo part of intuition and psychic abilities and medical intuitive, all of that. So hopefully that makes sense to you and resonates with you on a certain level. So just to wrap it up on intuition, your intuition is most definitely your internal GPS, right? It's internal. And it is connected with your senses. I do believe that the heart is the seat of your soul, and it is the main receiver for receiving information, and then we interpret it through our senses. That's how I see it. Could be right, could be wrong. And then if we look at synchronicity, so synchronicity is not just a song from the Police. Synchronicity is kind of like the magic of coincidence. There are meaningful coincidences that are really hard to ignore, that the timing, the placement, like everything is perfectly in unison, boom, and then something cool happens as a result, right? And you talk about relationships and people meeting and how the certain circumstances had to be lined up just right at the right time, at the right place for them to ever meet. And if that one situation didn't happen, they feel that they probably would have never met. I kind of think, there might be a little bit of fate at play there. I'm not sure about that yet. But if you didn't get it one time, you'll probably have another opportunity. So I don't have a lack mentality about that. I have a que sera kind of mentality about that. But I do know that the synchronicities and the signs that are happening around us all the time is what I consider the language of the universe. So the language of the universe is always here to kind of help us and to get us to where we really want to go. Let me give you some examples of synchronicity and signs. So I don't believe in accidents and I don't believe in coincidences like the normal kind of definition. I really do believe that there's some magic happening behind the scenes. We can get those synchronicities and those signs through repetitive numbers, words that we continue to hear. We keep seeing the same people or the same person. We keep seeing the same places, but I get a lot of numbers. And I also know, it's neuroscience is like a big hot topic right now. And I listen to a lot of podcasts about the brain. And I love it. And I know that we do have the RAS, the reticular activating system in the back of our brain that is listening to us. And when we see something or we're wanting something or thinking of something, our brain has a way of filtering out the things that don't match that and bringing us the thing that does. So I do think that there's some of that happening, but also there's something else, because a lot of times we're not even conscious of what we're wanting to bring in. We're not thinking about it. We didn't put it on our manifestation list. It's not even in our sphere, in our consciousness. However, I do believe it's in there somewhere. And so I have this theory that synchronicities is the universe's way of providing, getting into the law of attraction on a soul level, like beyond subconscious, but a soul level. And I don't even think that a lot of us are aware of what our souls want. That's why we're led by our higher consciousness, by our higher selves at times when we choose to, or when they, rib us and remind us of why we're here and what's going on with us. So there's a lot to consider when we think of synchronicities and the language of the universe that is the external guidance that is leading to or feeding our intuition, right? So yeah, this is where I do get a little woo on this, because I just know that with the synchronicities that I've experienced and seen, that it goes way beyond cause and effect. We can't logically explain things and how magical some synchronistic situations just happen. They're really hard to define or explain. So I do believe that we do have spirit guides or spirit helpers. Some people call them angels. Some people call it God. I call it divine intelligence. I feel that we are swimming in that quantum soup that is that divine intelligence, or this intelligence is just woven through it. And I see that in nature, So if you look at, say, I used to live in Long Beach and I loved watching the birds fly up over the ocean. And there would just be a huge flock of birds, and they would be in such close unison, and they would switch directions on a dime. And then boom, they're just off. And it's like there's this intelligence that is guiding them. They don't have GPS systems, they don't have a bird leader. They just know. There's this knowing, this divine intelligence that speaks to them somehow, right? Well, we have the same system happening inside of us. And so this stuff makes me so curious. And that's why I have designed an entire career out of exploring this and learning it, putting it to the test, and then teaching other people how to leverage it as well. So this reminds me of when I was a kid back in the 70s, and I recommend this movie so highly. It's called The Clash of the Titans, and it stars Harry Hamlin. Gosh, I think I was probably about 8 or 9 when that came out. I was obsessed. So it was mythology, Greek mythology. So this led me to my career as an English teacher, I'm sure, had something to do with that. But The Clash of the Titans, there's a few scenes. I'm going to have to watch it again this weekend. I haven't seen it in years. But there's a scene that really pops out at me where the gods and the goddesses are up in heaven or wherever they are. And there's a chessboard on the table. And they're taking the little humans, they're like little dolls, little human people, and they're moving them around on the chessboard, and they're strategizing the best possible scenario for each of the characters. And that just stuck in my head for all these years about how that resonates with me on a truth level. Now, do I really believe that they're personifications of gods and goddesses up in the sky playing chess? Not necessarily, but I do believe that there is something going on behind the scenes that is always helping us, so that leads me to the only conspiracy theory that I do believe in. And that conspiracy goes something like this, that the universe is conspiring on your behalf all the time. The universe is conspiring to get you to your greatest, highest outcome all the time. It is in direct unison with your soul, with your spirit, whether you're conscious or unconscious of that fact. And I'm going to call it a fact. That's a little brave, but that's how I interpret it. That's how I sense it. So the universe is conspiring for your greater good. That's a good mantra to have too. So even when the crappy things happen, yes, we're going to feel the pain. Yes, the scale is going to go to the dense side. Yes, we have some mourning or some work to do and some processing to take place. And that is part of our human condition. I completely embrace that and I honor that. But I also do believe that those painful moments, those pain points, and those the bringing you to your knees kind of moments are here to serve us. They're here to get us somewhere else. Maybe because we keep doing the same thing over and over again, the definition of insanity, and we need something to break us out of that habit or that rut or that loop that we're stuck in, right? And so the universe has a way through synchronicities of getting our attention so that we can do the thing that we really came here to do. We can do the thing that our soul's intention or our dharma, our soul purpose wants to do. I do believe that. I do believe that we're all here for certain reasons and purposes. And it's like, whether we sign up for it, acknowledge it or not, I just feel like we're constantly being pushed in those directions. So I go willingly because I don't like the pain parts. But sometimes I'm not going willingly, or something external happens and out of your control completely. And I just get curious as I'm in my sadness, for example. I will know that there's something there for me later. But right now, my energy is too dense and too thick and too heavy to get the blessing, but I do know that it's there waiting for me. And that's how I have a tendency to cope with negative circumstances or painful situations. All right. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to chime in and let me know. I love examples of synchronicities. So if you have a magical synchronistic moment that you'd like to share with us, please type it in. I would love to share. I was trying to think of examples when I put this together, and I thought, I know I've had a zillion of them and I can't even think of one. It's kind of like when you know that you want to go buy a record at the record store. Yes, this shows my age. And then you get to the record store and it's like, I can't remember what I wanted, but you really did want it before. All right, so let's talk about how we can use synchronicity and universal signs to develop your intuition. So I am clearly all about the journal. Boop. I keep journals all the time. I like to record things that are important to me. So every business idea I've ever had, they're in here. Every synchronistic situation that has happened, every aha, bright idea, download, whatever you want to call them, they're in my journals. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in developing your intuition, is to start recording the synchronicities. Record those coincidences, record those repetitive numbers. You don't have to know what it means, just write it down. When you notice something that is coincidental or synchronistic, write it down. Eventually what happens is you'll start to see a pattern, and you'll get curious and consult somebody and ask, what is this going on? Or you'll just receive the information slowly, in your own timing. And I recommend that. So you'll be recording this stuff, writing it down in your journal. And then what happens as a result of that, I think, is the magical moment. That's when you develop trust. So in my practice, the big disconnect that I see over and over with my clients and even with myself from time to time is the lack of trust. So here we are, we're getting all this data, we're getting all this information, we're getting the signs, we're getting the synchronicities, and then we still don't trust it because our fears, our conditioned fears, mostly stemming from childhood, have a tendency to creep up, right? But if we have a journal and we are writing this stuff down, we have a record. We have a record of, hey, this did work in the past. And look what I manifested. And look what happened as a result of this. And connect the dots, and it all starts to become clear. And then you have the validation required for us humans to develop trust. Some of us need to see it before we trust it or believe it, right? So do what you can to help yourself acknowledge the synchronicities and the signs that are happening all around you. Then when you tap into that trust, I'm telling you, you go to a whole nother level. That's when it is game on. That's when you roll up your sleeves, you get really curious, and you realize that the universe really does have your back, and that you are a manifesting machine, and they keep showing you the way. And I say, pulling your hair and giving you the nudges, and it just becomes this magical kind of lifestyle. And then it's wash, rinse, repeat. You do it over and over and over. So now you are in complete collaboration with the universe. You are a co-creator with your reality, and it's really fun. It's super fun. So my life coach is the universe. Right? And when I need other coaches, I will go get them. But the main coach that I have for sure is the universe, the synchronicities of the universe. They're always talking to us. So it's in our best interest to pay attention, listen, right? All right. One of the things that you can do also to maybe create or develop a relationship with the universe, and you choose whatever name you like, universe, God, angels, spirit guides. The list goes on and on. Every culture has definitely different labels for the same thing, right? So you choose yours. I like universe. It's nice and universal, right? And I call my spirit guides, I do believe that I have spirit guides, I call them or you guys. I used to think that was rude, and then I learned that it's not, because I'm just always on to the next thing, and I don't want to get stuck or dwell. I don't know. It's just my nature. I'm airy, so I'm off to the next thing. So hey, thanks guys, thanks. And then I'll leave flowers. You can see my flowers in the under Buddha right there. And the flowers are my way of expressing gratitude and acknowledging our collaboration, acknowledging our relationship. And then the magic happens when I see them. It's like a feng shui tip or trick, right? That it activates my knowing that I'm not alone and I got help. And so I like symbolism around the house. I like to have things that keep my energy high and keep me connected to the intelligence of the universe. So that's something that maybe you can try. So let me give you some very tangible, easy 3 ways to usher in the synchronicities, right? The first one is really simple. Ask. What do you want? What is your heart's desire? That's the biggest question. It's like, what do you want? You don't know, you have to know the how, you don't have to know any of that. It's just, what do you want? And then just simply ask for it. And then the universe will start to move things. And the next part, though, on your side is to stay open and receptive. So there we go with that scale. If your energy is really heavy, it's time to explore, why is my energy heavy? Do I want it to be heavy? Do I feel safe and protected and guided and heavy? I'll like it. I'll stay there. That's fine. The earth signs, stay wherever you're comfortable. I'm not saying you have to be light, but the lighter you are, the more receptive you're going to be. So maybe you could smudge it up just a bit, right? And so do the test and see where you are on that scale. And if you need to do a little bit of work to lighten up or to raise your energy, raise your vibration, you all know what I'm talking about, right? So it's so not a judgment, and I hope you're not taking it that way. We all have our ups and downs. And so one of the silly ways that I raise my energy levels and to get my vibration up is I listen to those really masculine motivational videos on YouTube that are a mix of motivational speakers like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, all the greats, and they're put to music. Denzel Washington's speech, all that stuff. It's all smushed together, and then it's got this really dramatic music in the background. It's like, yes, you can do anything kind of stuff. So that works for me. And I like just music. I like essential oils. I like pretty, anything just to keep my energy buoyed, to keep it high, keep it light, keep it soft. And then also when your energy is heavy, it's always a sign as to something's going on. So let's explore it. I'm not about just, switching our energy high and being all lollipops and rainbows all the time. But to be aware of where you are on the scale, where you want to be, and knowing that you can change it. That's the most important takeaway. You never have to be stuck anywhere. All right, so ushering in synchronicities. 1, ask. Set your intention, ask. 2, stay open and receptive. Stay open and receptive. Be observant. Look around. Don't shut yourself off and think that you have all the answers and that you'll figure it out. I mean, you can if you want, but that is not a collaboration with the universe. That's you trying to figure everything out. Trust me, I lived like that for the first, 20, 30 years of my life. And then I discovered the feminine way of living, and it's just like so much easier. It's called access your intuition. And then the third one is to keep your vibration high and light and healthy. Just keep it in a healthy, open, receptive place, right? So that's how we usher in the synchronicities and the signs, and then get out your journals and write them down. All right, guys. So if you would like to dive deeper into this subject, this topic with me, and put this stuff to practice and test it yourself, I have actually created a free 5-day intuition challenge, and I'm going to invite you to it. So you can put this stuff and a lot of other things to the test that I'll be sharing in those 5 days. Absolutely free. You have nothing to lose and a lot to gain. So we're going to be meeting on Facebook in my Enchanted Empath group on Facebook. And then we're just going to, for 5 days straight, explore and play in developing our intuitions and really leveraging this information and putting it to the test. So if you would like to sign up, just head over to my website. It's charlenemurphy.com/intuition challenge. One word, intuition challenge. I can guarantee you're going to walk away with a lot of information that you probably have never even heard of. But when you hear it, you're going to resonate with it on a soul level, because this stuff is stuff that you already know. That's why my motto for my business is remember your inner brilliance. This is nothing new. This is how you are naturally wired. And my job is to just help you remember and to excavate the stuff that keeps you away from it so that you can live a charmed life, and you can live a life that you want, a life that you love, a life that you co-create with the universe, with all the magic and the splendor of the synchronicities and the signs. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for now. So hopefully I will see you soon. I'll probably see you next week for sure. So take good care of yourself, right? Take really good care of yourself and each other. So until next time, peace. See you soon.